Hi, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I'm going to cover three on this one. We're going to look at SoundHound, SOFI, and SERV on this one. So SoundHound has been a wild battle with this $5.21 resistance. It feels like this is finally the moment. All right, so I talked personally, I got a little messed up on that string of three candles. It's obviously not about my trades, it's more about just in general, right? But yeah, this thing has messed me up, this line has messed me up. But today, I mean, there's so much strength, there's a lot to like down here. Sound looks like it's ready to finally go, and clearly it went today, to say the least. All right, SoFi in a lot of ways has surprised me. So my last video on SoFi, I was bullish. The one thing that kind of, I don't remember when I made my last video, but you can see RSI is living at 88, 84, 87. Like, this is now a very stable high 80s and just bouncing on the 8 like a champion. This is lovely and for sure a lot nicer than I sincerely expected. All right, and then SERV. Hey, I've been talking about SERV for a bit, and it's now finally done the move. And you know, this thing really reminded me of NNE. NNE just kind of took a while, and then finally went. It never continued too hard, right? And again, NNE had a really interesting pop in the beginning as well, just like this one, right? So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But again, just like the other ones, I like what I'm seeing down here. Today was a big candle. These are three really nice stocks. And I think the cool part is we've been looking at these for a minute now, right? So I'm excited to talk about all this and more, but before I do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There's one right here. There's a couple down here and up here, but I do draw horizontal support and resistance lines manually. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So, SoundHound, I mean, such a good day. You know, my favorite thing, and you can see it in the box over there, when the high of the day, when the third line reads a number and then the close of the day is that exact same number. There is nothing more bullish than not even a wick on top. Literally, people were buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying till the very last second of regular hours, and then the market said, you know what, we're closed. Come back tomorrow if you want more. You know what I mean? So the strength of the candle, the fact that the high of the day was the close of the day, that far supersedes any double-digit number, for real. Like, that is a monstrous candle. All right, look, I've been talking about this 521 line for what feels like forever. You know, you can see we gap up from it, you can see we've survived, and we get a nice little support from it. From there, we just lose it like a hot knife through butter, and we have basically been below that line since April. Right? And I mean, the battle with it's been ridiculous. You'll have maybe a good candle and then no confirmation. Maybe a good candle, no confirmation. Maybe a good candle, no confirmation, right? It was basically, what, 5 days roughly between April and now that we were over it, right? So I always give way more, you know, just emphasis and strength to those 5 lines. I mean, a computer is much smarter than I am. That's an easy thing to say, right? But hey, sometimes the line click is pretty good, you know? This was a big day. I already talked about the strength of the candle. I think one of the better things about this is it's really echoed with the lower moving averages. All right, so this is one of them that caught my eye. All right, so if you look, that wasn't this day right here, right? So the day before, this wasn't a bad candle right here. All right, you had a nice positive MACD. Your RSI actually was not that high. I'm talking about this October 14th candle, right? This is a good setup right there. all right? And I'm really surprised it couldn't go. You can see the wick at some moments had it going crazy high, right? So this little setup right here wasn't that bad, all right? And the reason why I'm emphasizing that is because I feel like this today candle basically is redoing that, but a little better. All right, I think our MACD, obviously, and I don't even think our MACD is a little higher, right? You can see the MACD on this day was only 0.02. It's not crazy higher, but hey, we have gone up, right? We're actually, what, almost 10x higher than that, right? There's a nice new divergence that just broke right there. The volume on today was significantly better than this day, right? This day was down here. What was this? 38 million. Today we're at 48 million, right? So roughly speaking, about 25% more, right? I'm going from, oh, you can even say 33% more, right? You're basically going from 30 something, you're adding another 10 to that 40 something, right? So big volume jump. The only thing you can kind of argue is, hey, the RSI was a little bit lower right here, right? Clearly, I would much rather a 61 RSI than a 74. That said, hey, it wasn't that long ago that we were in the 90s, right? So SoundHound knows how to go up there. And hey, look, I haven't covered it yet. I'm about to. They're very different stocks, don't get me wrong, but there are points where a stock just goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, super parabolic with the RSI. And then all of a sudden you start to live horizontally at what would be high numbers that would scare me and start to, question if it's going to keep going up, right? So you can see it starting to happen with SoFi. SoFi, the RSI would just go up and down, up and down, up and down. All of a sudden you're seeing literally 2 weeks of strength up in the deep 80s, right? I think the lowest it gets is a 78 in that 2 week span, right? You can see it's up here in the 88s, it's up here in the 88s, and it's basically kind of living, it's at the 87 today, right? Like that's a strong horizontal 2 weeks. I don't know if SoundHound's gonna do it yet, right? Like again, I can't make assumptions because that one is this, they're completely different. They're not even the same sector, right? But that's something I'm gonna be looking for, right? This thing doesn't really know how to stay consistent at the top, right? It peaks and drops. It could stay consistent right there, right? That 57 seems to be a pretty good place. It does it a couple times, right? But we haven't really held up too much. And that's really what I'm hoping kind of changes potentially up here, right? But look, at the bare minimum, this feels like there's going to be more, all right? So I actually said it in the Discord, and I actually drew a nice little, right here, where was it? Nope, not that one, this one. I'm surprised we didn't go all the way to this line up at 620. I'm really surprised that's not where we closed today. You can see that's the top of this right here. It's basically the bottom of this right here. Like I'm surprised we didn't get a little bit more. So maybe that 620 is a little bit something, but I mean, if you watch my videos, green, red, green, red, pretty much nothing. There's a fast channel here all the way to basically 8, right? 770, 780 is where my line is, right? So 74 is a little bit of high RSI, but let's just say we can get to the 80, right? We'll see what it looks like there. But yeah, I think there's going to be more. If this was going to come down, so sorry, I'm zooming in and out too much, sorry. Normally, I would use today's candle and say, hey, I think this is the 50% point. That's probably where it's going to go. I think I'm going to use this. And I don't think this will go much lower than 585 tomorrow, okay? If we lose that 585, I think it'll basically be that 560-ish that I initially clicked on, right? That's using today. But I actually want to think that we are now breaking into this July candle, right? We like I said, I'm surprised we didn't close at the top of it. We've pretty much taken most of it, right? So I think I'm now going to use this candle to dictate my low for tomorrow as opposed to today's candle. All right, I hope that made sense. Otherwise, like I said, break 620 and man, there might not be a lot stopping 780, all right? As I look in the weekly chart, this is a beautiful weekly chart. Red, green, red, nothing, green, red, nothing, right? So we are again set up on the weekly with a significantly lower RSI, a positive MACD with that nice little divergence right there. And look, Today is only Monday, all right? This average 50 line is at 150, right? I'm basically rounding up from that 145, okay? We are on pace to at least hit the line. If tomorrow confirms, that actually should bring more volume, right? If I'm right and we break this 620 and all of a sudden the train's gonna run there, you gotta believe that's gonna bring more volume than it did today, right? And that would help us break it on the weekly, right? As I look at this weekly chart, okay, we've only gone over that line, what, twice in the last 3 months. I don't think we went over it on this one. Yeah, we didn't, right? This week was 138 million. The line was at 145. So no, we didn't, right? It was only these 2 months in early August. September and October haven't been there. We were close, but hey, we haven't, right? Break this white line by Friday, hopefully before, and we don't even have to question it, right? But bring me 146 million shares or more. Oh man, I think that can set up a really strong next week, right? Because just look at these four candles. Interesting doji on two moving averages. That's a nice candle. Doesn't confirm, but hey, we're holding the lines. All of a sudden, we're doing pretty well, right? So the weekly is setting up nicely. This daily did the job here. It seems like SoundHound is finally ready to say bye-bye to that line, all right? So I think the last thing I'll say is SERV, which is the last stock I'm going to cover. All right. SERV had a headline that, hey, this is another NVIDIA stock that they're an investor in, and maybe you should get in before it goes off. I'll find it. I know someone posted it somewhere. To me, I think that's a good thing for SoundHound, because all of a sudden, if that new NVIDIA investment is starting to get attention and stuff, I think people are going to also wonder, hey, what else are they investing in? If they didn't remember, if they didn't already know, hey, SoundHound was probably one of the first ones that got that big NVIDIA disclosure that did really well from it, right? So I again, not same sector at all, but I think the SERV NVIDIA investment news is good for a SoundHound, which had that same NVIDIA investment news as that one did, right? NASDAQ still looking good too. Not Comp. What does Compass look like? Not that good. Hey, if Compass can break, I'll send an alert. If Compass can break 593, that could be interesting actually. Sorry, every now and then I click the wrong thing, but we'll still take a second to look at it, right? That's what I wanted. NASDAQ. NASDAQ's still looking good. NASDAQ had a really interesting doji on Friday. What we did was we actually gapped up and opened all the way up here. You can see it in the box over there at 18648. That was actually $5 higher than my golden line, and you can see it, right? There is green over that gold. Clearly, we closed down here. I'm not a big fan of that, but I loved the gap up over my golden line. All right, that was a really interesting hello to the morning. All right, we still need more, but this is a nice tech setup, and again, these don't look that bad. S&P 500 again doesn't look as nice, but hey, they're both holding the 8 and the 20. End of the day, that's a good thing, right? So I think the indices are still there. I think, again, SoundHound, just this beautiful candle, does a good amount of good for me. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's take a look at SOFI. And my goodness, SOFI has done the job. All right. So I'm probably not going to say it anymore after this, but I still remember this doji. And I know I bookmarked it on the last video. I think this will probably be the last time I do it, on the 14-minute mark. This July 11th candle was what sincerely made me believe that this thing was about to take off, and clearly it did. A doji on an interesting line like a moving average, and then the nice follow through after tends to be an interesting moment. All right, so I'm not bookmarking this thing to brag. The last thing I do on these videos is brag. It's more, hey, if you want to go back and see what I saw, check out that video. It's worth your minutes. All right, so the last video I made on SoFi, I was really concerned. I wasn't bearish, and that was a big focus of the video. I kept saying, look, nothing looks bearish, all right? We're over all the moving averages. We have a positive MACD. We got the green over red. The volume's actually nice. My concern was this RSI was just living way too high, right? You can see this was an 86. That right there was an 83. On this day right here is an 88. I mean, those are really, I start ringing the alarm at 80, right? You're 10% higher when you're at 88, right? I mentioned it on the SoundHound part, so sorry if I'm repeating it, but one thing that I've seen, all right, and I think we're starting to see it on SoFi. So obviously I'm zoomed out. This is the entire life of SoFi on the daily. Just like we see up here with like the stocks that we do, right? RSI can get very parabolic. You hit the peak and you tank. You hit the bottom and you run. And then just a back and forth, crazy parabolic, right? And again, that's why it's easy for me to ring the alarm at 80. Hey, around 80, we're probably nearing a peak. We're probably going to see the spike down, right? That is what this thing does, right? I didn't make this up. One thing that starts to happen, that starts to make me believe either one of two things, because it's good that it's happening up here. Believe me, it could happen down here, all right? When you stop the parabolic and you start to go horizontal, that's big. Because all of a sudden, you can live in the high 80s and still make a quick 10%. Right? You're in the high 80s at 10. All of a sudden I'm pushing 11, not that far from 12, which is 20%, right? Like that is monstrous. And look, don't get me wrong, there are a number of days that are over the white line, and arguably there's a few that are really nicely over it, right? But man, I'm surprised to see it. This is the first time we're seeing it on SoFi. That's a long 2 weeks of doing it, and it's at a very high RSI number, right? Like that is wild to me. And again, that is a big reason my last video was, look, I don't see a bearish concern. Things just look a little hot, and I assumed that it was going to correct, right? I think it also screams the strength of and why I love this 8 moving average. End of the day, as long as you can hold the 8, you kind of don't care about anything else. And all this thing has been doing is bouncing on the 8 like a champion, right? You start to get a little concerned when the 8 is all the way up here and then the potential fall to the 20 is down there, right? Again, there are definitely support points, and I'm not even here talking about the way down, but that's just something to consider, right? But yeah, as long as we are over 1050, 1060, something around there, oh man, SoFi is just wildly bullish, all right? I've been talking about the weekly chart on SoFi probably more than I actually talk about any weekly charts. That's crazy right there. That is. And it's funny because one thing I talked about was I thought we would go up, I thought we would come back down, and then I thought we would take off. I don't know if that's what's about to happen. Like we've done the up, we're going to come down, we're going to use it as support, and then we're going to go. Or if it's just literally going to keep, because look, we've got a golden cross, the 20 on the 50 right there. I mean, that's lovely, right? It feels like in about another week or two, we're going to get a golden cross of the 8 on the 200. I mean, there's a lot of good going on. And again, you can see the same thing kind of happening here. Peak and fall, peak and fall, peak and fall. Not really, but even though it's peak and fall, that's a little lower, right? You can hold a horizontal there. We've done it once before here, all right? We've had a little bit of a moment where we were able to stay horizontal in this 70-ish range. It's a lower 70, right? You can see 74, 73, 73, something, right? So, hey, maybe we'll stay horizontal here before we take off, and that maybe will kind of feed with my come down before it takes off. Otherwise, hey, maybe we're going to take this up to the 80s and start to do the exact same thing here where we're staying living lovely horizontal comfortably on the weekly. Because again, the weekly is only 5x is 5x slower than the daily, right? Obviously, 5 days for one single week to finish, right? Eventually, what happens on the daily trickles to the weekly, right? So there's some real good things here, and I think more than anything, there are some significant support points. I'm gonna draw that 10 line, roughly the top of that and the bottom of that. I know I mentioned this 1060 line above, and again, I think that's a really important line. Don't get me wrong. I think I want that 10 line as my support instead of that gap up point right there. So I might be wrong there. Maybe I'll adjust that in a bit, but I think for now that's not bad. So SoFi, yeah, this is a lovely chart, and I think the real emphasis of this chart is the RSI. It for sure fooled me. I'm not going to use another word than fooled, right? Again, just because I didn't think it was going to go, crashing down doesn't mean I was right. But yeah, it was able to sustain with a high RSI. That's not an easy thing to do, and that to me says strength for sure. All right, so 20 minutes in, two stocks. I apologize, but this is the last one I want to look at. Let's take a quick look at SERV real quick. If you could subscribe, if you can share, it does wonders. So I I've been banging the serve drum for what feels like maybe a full week easy. All right, I actually even think I was talking about it since right here. So look, I'm a little biased to technology. I love trading tech stocks. I really do. To me, I like tech is the future, right? Like it just I'm too dumb. I know that. So I need some smart computers to do some things I can't do. You know what I mean? And I mentioned the not the Tesla earnings, but before the Tesla earnings, there was that Tesla event, and Elon dropped all those Tesla robots. Again, no connection between Serve and the Tesla robots, but hey, there was a little bit of a robot hype. All right, I don't know if it was in the Discord. Give me a second. Uber. I think it might have been on StockTwit somewhere. All right, give me a sec. I'm going to pause the video. Let me find this headline real quick. 1 second. I'll be honest. I think I actually regretted pausing it. So I'm just going to show you exactly what I did. So I came to Google. I searched Serve, Nvidia, and Uber. And you can see basically it's the top stories. All right. This was 6 hours ago. This was a day ago. This was two. And there's definitely more. All right. All of a sudden, people started talking about Nvidia and Uber investing in a little company called Serve. All right. And I say this all the time. I'm going to say it one more time. When a small, insignificant nothing of a stock gets tied to the number one ticker in the world, arguably, right? With another globally known company and brand, oh man, it's huge. It's huge. Again, TechCrunch, you've got these unbiased headlines. Sorry, these unbiased publication. I wouldn't even say unbiased. These majorly respected ones. All right, Barron's is a big name. I know that. Motley Fool, you can kind of argue is hit or miss, whatever. Even TechCrunch, you can kind of say is maybe fluff stuff. But like, what I love is all these companies are covering it, right? And to me, that's a good thing. I've been waiting for this. We literally hit and kissed this channel. I'm hoping we're going to the next channel up here at 17. Positive MACD. We've got the RSI flipping. That's still a real healthy 62. And again, this is a big part of it. When you make a crazy run, you're going to get some crazy volumes. And crazy volumes are going to mess up your average, right? You're going to mess up your average. You're going to have this impossible month after month of missing the average line. All of a sudden, things start to stabilize, things start to correct themselves. All of a sudden, you can this candle. Look at it. Literally, this candle would have not hit the 50-day line only a month ago, right? So the fact that we have gotten away from this crazy outlier, now we can potentially make another outlier behind us. Listen, I'm going to say it one more time, I do not believe we're going to make another 10x run. I don't think we're going to go from 2 to 20, go from, 10 to goodness, what is that? Oh my gosh. 10 to 100 is what that would be. No, I'm not thinking we're going to duplicate, right? For now, my only target is this number right here. I don't think I have another line above it. I don't. Obviously, from there, we're going to go into all-time highs and things will be interesting, right? But for now, this is the look. I see the wick up here. I know that this thing got as high as $24.09. I am not thinking about, I'm not drawing a 24 line, right? Like going to 16 will bring some nice returns. If we can get more, obviously that'll be lovely. Hey, the 62 RSI makes me believe that there's a solid shot at it, all right? Real quick, let me flash RR. And you know, there was a YouTube comment. I got it partially right, partially wrong. All right. So on the comment, I said, and this is where I got the line from. We must hold 59 cents. All right. Basically, the top of this candle, the bottom of this candle, that's our all-time low point. Clearly, there's another line down here. Clearly, there's another line down here. Clearly, true all-time low is down here. My comment was, if this does not hold, it's game over. It held. And my comment after that, which was wrong, was I don't know if we were going to get over 70 cents. I wasn't sure we were going to break this 8 and the 20. Because again, just look at it. We were struggling with those two lines for what? Almost a full 2 months, right? The fact that we broke the 20 was lovely. And we basically ran to my next resistance line, which was that 75. If you go back, it was there. I didn't just draw that after, right? So for RR, this is either going to come back down to 70 or we're about to make a run all the way to 93. Maybe only 88, but hey, 75 to 88, I think is a little more than a 10% move. I think that's more than 7 cents. Yeah, obviously it is. That's actually more than 10 cents right there, right? So not quite 20, but hey, that's a double-digit run right there for sure, right? So I think between 88 and 93 is very, very realistic for RR. I think SERV is the better of the two because this is overall the moving averages, right? With RR, I have another two lines right here I got to worry about at $1, right? Hey, you break the dollar and for sure I see that 164 above it, right? But just the way I'm also in meetings, I also work, right? It's not like I'm a day trader and I can just sit here and do my thing, right? But to me, this just feels a little more comfortable. You know what I mean? But either way, it looks like the robotics aren't doing that bad. So kind of a long video. I hope I didn't drag on too much. Yo, I appreciate you so much. Little tough on my side of the screen. I can't tell you how much this helps, man. So thank you.